One of the hardest pills to swallow when you truly realize how to tame type 1 and do it the right way through low carb approach is realizing how uncommon it is, how rare it is to actually have your type 1 diabetes under control. I mean, if it was common, I wouldn't need to make these videos. But unfortunately, we're actually a rare breed. We're in the 1% of diabetics who actually have our diabetes relatively under control. And it's heartbreaking whenever you see a diabetic, whether it be a friend in real life or someone on Facebook, that is clearly suffering. They're talking about how the blood sugars are on a roller coaster and they don't know what to do. They just had some, juice or cake and their blood sugar is going crazy and they just don't know what to do about it. It's heart-wrenching to see that because you know exactly what they can do to fix it. And you just want to tell them, you just want to shake them up and down and go, listen, follow these steps, do it right, and you can finally manage type 1 diabetes and live a good life. And it's even worse with parents who have type 1 children who aren't managing it right because you feel for that child. I was that child at one point who wasn't raised right with type 1 diabetes, and I really feel when I see kids with roller coaster blood sugars who don't know how to manage it. But before you go crazy about it, before you get in their face and start, pushing the right approach onto them, you need to realize something. Most people, unfortunately, aren't very open to it. They don't want to change anything. And that doesn't mean you shouldn't speak out. You should speak out. You should always say your mind when the time is appropriate. But when you do, don't be mad when they reject it. Don't be mad if they don't listen. In the end, we cannot convince anyone of anything. We can point them in the right direction. We can show them the right way to manage diabetes and the right way to live a healthy life. But you cannot convince anybody of anything. That is up to them. To believe you or disbelieve you, to follow you or not, is entirely up to them. And if they say no, if they don't want to listen, if they rather follow their doctor's advice or whatever, don't be mad at them for it. Don't be resentful. Don't push it further and further and further because that's just going to drive them away. And when you drive them away, well, now they lost the one person that could show them a better way if they wanted it. Don't be a zealot. Because when you're a zealot, when you just push, push, and push, when you talk about low carb at every single opportunity possible, when you talk about all the time, it's all you talk about, and you're always pushing everyone, you're making people feel guilty about eating carbs or giving their kids carbs, you're just being a dick. You're not being convincing. You're not going to change anyone's mind by being a zealot. And I know it's the right thing to do sometimes to say, hey, you need to do this better. And again, you should speak up. But remember, there is a time to speak and a time not to speak. If you just go around pushing it everywhere, no one's going to ever want to listen to you because you're just going to come up as annoying. Don't be that way. Don't be that kind of person. Be friends with everyone, accept them for however they meet or however they manage their diabetes, even if you know it's the wrong way. Why? Why should you go and accept that even though you know it's wrong? I'll tell you why. Because the best way to convince someone isn't by being pushy, isn't by pushing over and over. It's about speaking out when it's right to do so, when the opportunity arises, and not more than that, and being the example. Being the person that friend can come to when in time of need. When you simply be the example and you speak truth when it's appropriate to, rather than all the time, then instead of being annoying, you're that friend who knows a lot about health. Instead of being that zealot who pushes everything on everyone, you can be that diabetic that's doing really well, and hey, you know what? I'm not doing so good. I'm going to go to my friend that knows a lot about this stuff and ask him. Let people come to you. Let people come to you when they have questions, and when they have questions, you can answer them, and you can be honest and tell them the truth then. Instead of always pushing it on them, just be there for them when they're ready. Because until they're ready, they're not going to listen to you. You know? And again, it is okay to speak up. But once you speak up, once you let them know, you need to let it go. Let it go and let them suffer. I know it sounds harsh, especially if you're dealing with a type 1 diabetic kid who, doesn't know any better and doesn't deserve what they're going to get. I know it's harsh, but sometimes it's what you have to do. You can't convince people. Sometimes they'll have to suffer a little bit. They'll have to deal with those complications until they're finally ready to call out and ask for help. Until then, they're not ready for it. And it's sad to see, but it is the way it is. The best you can do, really the best you can do, is speak up and be the example. Because when you speak up, you let them know, hey, there's a better way. They might not listen then. But if you keep being the example, if you keep being the person that they can go to for help, that keep being that diabetic friend that they love to hang out with, that doesn't just push everything on them, but is just a genuinely good person, that also happens to, do well with their diabetes, then maybe one day, they'll finally be like, hey, you know what? You're managing this really well. I kind of want to give it a go. Can you tell me more about it? There you go. Then you have them. But until then, you just gotta be. Just be. Don't worry about pushing at everyone. Don't try to be the savior of the world. You can't save everyone. If you notice with my videos, I inform. I don't try to convince anyone of everything. Because I can't. Because you can't. Because nobody can really convince. But what we can do is inform. What we can do is speak up when we should. What we can't do is be God and change people to fit what we think is best. So just keep that in mind. Don't be a zealot. Don't be too pushy. Just speak up when it's right. Tell people how to calculate the cabbage when it's necessary. And when it's appropriate to, maybe they're asking for help or something like that, yeah, tell them then. But until then, just be the example. Be that friendly diabetic that people can count and rely on. And one day, the people that are ready to hear the message, that are ready to make the switch to low carb, will come to you. And you'll be able to take them in, arms wide open, full acceptance, rather than having shunned them away. That is all for now. Be sure to keep taking that type 1. Don't be a zealot, be chill. Tell people when it's necessary. Don't overdo it, don't be pushy, and keep being the example. That is how you change minds. That is how you change the world, by just being awesome and being yourself. That's the best we can do, and that's the best we can be. Keep it easy, everyone. Stay tuned for more.